Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Ford. I'm the District Media Specialist, which means I help students with research. I'm also the teacher for Jen Yes and the librarian who handles the books in the makerspace. I want to talk to you about getting ready to write research papers, everyone's least favorite time of year. To start out, you want to go to the Mentor School's website, click on Students, and then choose Hub Research Tools, and that'll take you to the page that'll give you all the information that you need for your assignments. Here on the Hub's webpage, you can click on iSearch. This will take you to books we have on the shelves, ebooks in our digital collection, and articles that are part of Infohio. Infohio databases are the ones that are paid for by our state tax dollars and are available to any student in the state. You can probably do all of your research paper getting articles from Infohio, either by clicking on Infohio directly or clicking on iSearch. If I want to use Infohio to find resources for a research paper, I could click the iSearch, but in this case, I want to have it more targeted and less general stuff. I'm going to click Academic Search Premier. Now, Academic Search Premier will default to searching all of their article databases, which could give you way too many results. I would recommend instead choosing the databases so you can narrow down your search. That way, if you're looking for science, you can just click the research that deals with science. If you're looking for things related to psychology, you could just search in that. If you're looking for things related to business. So these kind of narrow it down and make it so you don't get too many results. In general, the best ones for everyone to pick: Academic Search Premier, Mass Ultra, Master File. Those are good generic databases. Again, you can see business ones, ebooks, health reference. We're going to look for information about whether or not we should have school uniforms. So I'm going to pick ERIC because that's a research database just related to education. We can see there's environmental ones, there are health ones, hobbies, library info, literature. So if we're looking for something related to a book for English class, we could pick the literature ones only. Because I am picking a topic that is a controversial topic, I'm going to choose the Points of View Reference Center because that one is related just to both sides of issues. I'm going to do Professional Development Collection because, again, that's another education one. Psychology, the mindset related to school uniforms would be useful. I don't need business. I don't need science. I'm going to pick Topic Search too because that's a good general database. So by picking these, I'll get less results. Now, if you're really bad at spelling, you can see that Infohio and EBSCO, they start to give you information already. So if you start to type the word correctly, it'll give you other suggestions of what to pick. So I'm just going to say school uniforms rather than pros and cons because I should get both by using less terms. Now here you can see my search results. I have 31,000 results. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is impossible for you to search and find good info. Plus, the databases don't use the same methods of searching like Google. Google uses keywords. Instead, this uses articles that have been selected by someone else. That means the sources are vetted. Vetted sources are great because someone's already done the work. They've decided that the article is of academic value, and they've paid the author and the magazine to have access to it. So someone has really proven a point that this is valid and useful. If you're just going with Google, you can get a result that just anyone threw out there. So it could be someone just ranting and raving who has no expertise. That's really important in a research paper. You want someone who has a background, someone who has an opinion that is informed. That helps you prove your arguments. So again, 31,000 results is way too many. On the left-hand side, I have limiters I can apply in order to drop that down. So I do not need articles from 1908. I'm going to jump all the way forward to just the last 10 years. My results dropped by half. Still not good enough. Maybe I just want the past 4 years, because the debate about school uniforms obviously is going to be influenced by the pandemic, and I want the most recent information. Maybe a little bit of articles before the pandemic, and then some talking about school uniforms during the pandemic. Now we're down to 5,000. Still too many, but a lot better. You can do more limiters. Always make sure the full text is checked. You don't want a summary. You want the full article every time. So if you go to source types, you could click on these, which will narrow it down further. Magazine stories, academic journals. Academic journals are going to be based in research. In order to publish in an academic journal, your article has to get approved by others in your field. so that the information you're presenting is considered valid and useful to the entire knowledge base of that career. So I might want to use some academic articles because they're going to have some research behind them. I might want to use a couple news or magazine stories because they're more general and I can shape those to my argument. Still kind of a lot. Now, if you ever are in a situation where you get too few results, click thesaurus term. And if you click that, it can help you expand or reduce the amount of terms that you have. Again, like helping to limit the amount of results. Now we're down to 38, much more useful. Here are two really good articles about school uniform costs. That might be one of my body paragraphs for my argument, is the cost of uniforms are affordable, or I could make the other argument, we should not have uniforms because the cost of uniforms is too high. Both of these sound like good articles I might want to use. When you're doing research, it's always better to find something, save it, and keep going, saving as much as possible, and then afterwards take the time to read it. That way you don't lose the good search terms and limiters that you've already used. Now both of these say PDF full text. So I'm going to click on one of them and it's going to give me the article summary, but not the whole article. So if it's a PDF full text, you have one more click that you need to do right over here. So here is an article I can use. I can either check this button right here and download it, or I could click on Google Drive. I'm going to download it. It just says content server, so I'm going to make it cost uniforms, so I know later what the article's about, and I'm saving it into my downloads folder. Make sure you're always picking the same place to save everything to so you can find it later. And if you saved it as a PDF and you're successful, it'll pop up in Acrobat Reader. Finally, before I leave, whether I am on detailed record or on the PDF full text, either one of them gives you a menu on the right-hand side. Always, 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 before you leave this page, click Cite, scroll down to the MLA format because that's what most of you are going to use, highlight for your works cited page, the citation, and open a Google Doc, paste it in there. Even if you decide later you're not going to use the article, you can delete it. But it's really hard to write a works cited page. If they've done the work for you, take advantage of that. That's part of why we use these instead of Google. I could get the same article on Google, but by getting it through here, I'm able to get that works cited help. Cutting and pasting is a lot easier than writing an original citation. Also, if it's in a database, it's a little bit better than if I find it on Google, because Google, it's a lot harder to save it, and lots of websites need more space and they'll delete stuff and it's gone for good. So you might be in the middle of your paper, you really needed that article to prove your point, and it's now gone. So the articles I found before were about lowering the cost of school uniforms, but if you want to make the argument that we should not have school uniforms because they're too expensive, it sounds like this article from the news results would be useful, as parents relied on debt for school uniforms. In this case, it does not have a PDF. It has an HTML full text article, which means it will be pasted directly into the results, directly into the summary. In order to save this one, you want to click on Google Drive. It may ask to link your accounts. You want to allow that. And then you should get a message. Your document has been saved to Google Drive account. Again, before I close this article, I'm going to read it later. But for right now, before I close it, what I want to make sure I do is use that link on the right-hand side. Click Cite, scroll down to MLA. So I'm going to cut and paste this into a Google Doc in case I do want to use this in my paper later.